Previously on the Reluctant Heir. Zara accepted the impossible responsibility of leading her late father's business empire while refusing to abandon her lifelong dream of becoming a musician. Against all odds, she uncovered hidden truths, exposed weaknesses within the company, and secured a chance to keep both dreams alive. But success comes at a price. While Zara celebrates a hard-earned breakthrough, powerful forces are already moving against her. The media is about to turn her into a national scandal. The board is preparing to remove her from power. And those waiting for her to fail believe her time has finally run out. Now the real battle begins. Can one woman protect her father's legacy without losing herself in the process? Or will the empire destroy the very dream she fought to preserve? Halfway through her 90 days, Zara has restructuring underway, Adinka sidelined, agriculture refinanced. She has also recorded 4 new songs on weekends, all produced remotely with Kalu. She calls her mother. She says, "I think I know what Dad was actually trying to protect." Grace says, "What?" Zara says, "Not me. The people. Adiz. The 400 farmers. The logistics drivers. He was protecting all of them and he didn't know how to say it without sounding like a businessman." Grace is quiet. Then, that is exactly what he was trying to say. He just never found the words. Zara closes the notebook. Day 45. She opens a new page. A business tabloid runs a story, a leaked photo of Zara in the Port Harcourt studio, captioned dismissively. The headline, Okonkwo heiress moonlights as musician while $500 million group faces debt crisis. The board convenes an emergency call. Adinka has forwarded the article to 3 creditors. Zara reads the article at 6 a.m. She does not call her PR team. She calls Adiz. She says, "I need you on a call with the creditors at 2 p.m. Bring 11 years of data." Adiz says, "I'll bring 12. At 2 p.m., Adiz presents the agriculture division's full performance history to the creditors directly. By 4 p.m., 2 of 3 creditors have agreed to extend their timelines. The third is still reading the data. Adinka circulates a petition among board members, requesting a formal vote to appoint a professional CEO. 4 of 6 directors sign. It is legally within their rights under the company charter. The vote is scheduled for day 60. Zara has 5 days. She does not fight it. She reads the charter. She finds a clause her father wrote in 2011. Any major structural decision requires a supermajority, 5 of 6 votes. Adinka has 4. She meets individually with each of the 4 signatories. She does not argue. She shows them the restructuring progress report, the creditor extension agreements, and Adiz's data. She asks each of them one question. What did my father hire you to protect? Kalu plays Zara the weekend recordings back to back. Something is missing. He says, the first one, the Midnight Song, has something the rest don't. You recorded that one alone. He says, the empire is inside the music now and it's making the music smaller. She sits with that for a long time. She says, are you telling me to quit? He says, no. I'm telling you the music needs you present. Right now you're giving it your hours but not your whole self. She says, I don't know how to give my whole self to 2 things. He says, your father did. He just called it work. She goes quiet. That's the first time anyone has said something about her father that made her feel proud and warned at the same time. The board convenes. Adinka calls the vote. 4 hands go up. Then 1 comes down. Director Bello, the eldest, who joined the board in 1998 at her father's founding, withdraws his signature. He says, Emmanuel built this with his hands. I will not vote to hand it to strangers while his daughter stands here. The vote fails. 3-3 is not a supermajority. Adinka says, this isn't over. Zara says, I know. It never is. She closes the notebook, 30 days left. She shakes Director Bello's hand after the meeting. He holds it with both hands. He says, you sound like him when you talk in there. She says, I used to think that was an insult. He says, so did he at your age. The third creditor, a Lagos-based private equity firm, schedules a site visit before agreeing to extend. They send 2 analysts who spend 3 days reviewing operations, farm, and logistics. On day 3, their lead analyst says, this is not what the press described. Not even close. The creditors extend. Their letter cites demonstrated operational improvement under new leadership and substantive asset base in the agriculture division. Zara reads the letter twice. She photographs it and sends it to Adiz, Kalu, her mother, and Director Bello. She does not send it to Adinka. He will read it in the board minutes. She goes to the piano in her father's study. She plays for 40 minutes. She records nothing. Some things are just for living. On day 90, Zara addresses the full board. She is not taking the permanent chairmanship. She is appointing a professional CEO, her choice, not Adinka's, to run daily operations. She is taking a strategic board seat, retaining ownership, and returning to music full-time. She says, my father built this empire. I am not abandoning it. I am building a structure that does not require me to choose between his legacy and mine. Both are Okonkwo. The room is quiet. Adinka says, that's not what your father intended. She says, My father listened to my music on his phone 42 times and never told me. He intended more than he managed to say. Nobody responds to that. There is nothing to respond to. Zara's chosen CEO, Dr. Ngozi Ease, spent 15 years running a Pan-African infrastructure firm. She meets the board, tours the Bainway farm, reviews the construction restructuring plan, and says, doable. She and Zara meet weekly. Zara holds strategy. Ngozi holds execution. It works immediately. Adiyinka resigns from the board 6 weeks after Ngozi's arrival. His exit is quiet and he does not give interviews. Director Bello stays. The board stabilizes. The construction wind-down proceeds. 3 months in, the 2.1 billion Nigerian naira's agriculture revenue is redirected to pay down the construction arrears on schedule. The quiet thing is, exactly as written in the notebook, now loud. Zara records the album over 4 months of weekends, 12 tracks, all written during the 90 days. The Midnight Song is track 1. Her father's name is not in it. His presence is in every line. Kalu says it's the most complete debut album he has heard from any artist, ever. He does not exaggerate. The album is called The Quiet Things. The title comes from the note she wrote in Bainway. The quiet thing is keeping everything else alive. The cover art is a photograph of the Bainway farm at sunrise, taken by Adiz. Temi at Silver Sound cries when she hears the final mix. She does not tell Zara. She tells Kalu. He tells Zara. Zara says, good. It should do that. The album launches at a Port Harcourt venue, the same 200-capacity underground room as Scene 1. The room holds 200. 500 people are outside. Adiz drives 4 hours from Bainway. Director Bello attends. He has never been to a concert. He stands in the back and does not move. After the show, Director Bello finds her backstage. He is a man who does not display emotion. His eyes are wet. He says, your father would have stood exactly where I stood. She says, 42 plays, Director Bello. He nods. He understands. He leaves. Adiz says, what was that about? Zara says, he just told me my father heard this. She sits down with her guitar. She plays one more song. Just for herself. Just for him. The album streams 4.2 million times in its first month. The Midnight Song reaches 1.8 million alone. 3 international music publications review it. All 3 call it one of the year's best debut albums. Silver Sound reissues a regional distribution deal. Temi says, this is a career, not a moment. Zara reads the review that says, this is music made by someone who has learned, in real time, the cost of things. She does not know the reviewer. The reviewer does not know about the boardroom or Adiyinka or the creditors or the 90 days. They heard it in the music anyway. She sends the review to Kalu. He sends back, told you. She sends it to Adiz. Adiz sends back a photo of the farm at sunrise. Same photo. New meaning. At the end of year 1 under Ngozi, construction debt down 31%, agriculture revenue up 18%. The company has been removed from the creditors' watch list. The press describes it as a quiet turnaround. Adiz is promoted to Group Director of Agriculture, the first time the division has had a director. Zara attends the board meeting where Adiz is formally appointed. She does not make a speech. She applauds. Adiz looks at her from the end of the table. She mouths, your father knew. Zara nods. She writes in Notebook 7. The quiet thing is now the loudest thing in the room. She closes the notebook. She has a sound check in 4 hours. Kalu has a new artist, 19 years old, no resources, extraordinary voice, no path to a studio. Zara listens to the demo. She funds 6 months of studio time from her album advance. She tells the artist, nobody gave me the studio. Someone gave me the time. That's what I'm giving you. The artist, a girl named Amara, asks, how did you make it work, the music and everything else? Zara thinks about the 90 days, the Midnight Song, Adiz in the field, her father's playlist. She says, I stopped treating them as enemies. They were always the same thing. Amara writes it down. Zara recognizes the gesture immediately. She says, good. Fill the notebook. Grace has kept her father's phone. She gives it to Zara on the anniversary of his death. Zara finds the playlist, all 11 of her released tracks, plus 3 demos he somehow obtained. He named the playlist, Z, that is all. Just the initial. Just the 1 letter. She sits in his study with the phone for 2 hours. She listens to her own music through her father's ears, the man who never came to a show, never said the word, musician, without tension, who built walls he called love and listened in secret to the thing his walls couldn't stop. She opens Notebook 7 to a new page. She writes, he heard it. He always heard it. She writes the title of the next album underneath. She is already working. The same underground venue. A new open mic night. A 19-year-old named Amara takes the microphone. She performs for 200 people who don't know her yet. She has a notebook in her jacket pocket. In the back of the room, a young woman who was on this same stage 3 years ago, watching. She is not watching as a mentor or a business owner or a board member or an heiress. She is watching as a musician, someone who knows what it feels like to stand at that microphone and mean every word. Amara closes her eyes. The crowd opens theirs. Zara writes 1 line in the notebook. It starts here. Always here. She puts it in her pocket. She doesn't stay for the applause. The story doesn't end here. It files itself and begins again. Zara was 22 years old when she inherited a $500 million empire and a $80 million debt she didn't create. She had a record deal in one hand and a board of directors in the other. Everyone told her to choose. She refused. Not because she was reckless, but because she understood something her father never managed to say out loud, that legacy isn't the thing you build. It's the reason you build it. And the reason for Zara was always the music. The music taught her how to listen. The empire taught her what was worth protecting. She used both. She lost neither. Her story isn't a fairy tale about a girl who had it all. It's the story of a girl who was handed a weight she never asked for, and instead of dropping it or being crushed by it, figured out how to carry it in a way that left her hands free. If this story made you think differently about passion, obligation, and what it actually means to honor the people who built before you, then you belong here. Subscribe to the channel. Because we don't just tell stories of people who inherit. We tell the stories of what they become when the inheritance arrives too soon, costs too much, and asks more than anyone has a right to ask. This is the Dawn Film Vault. We don't just tell the story. We tell the truth of it. See you in the next one.